Just a general disclaimer before this video starts. This video is being made to substitute for a great Slayer guide made by Dr. Fierce. If you're like me and you've been looking at extra guides, you may have come across this video and noticed that it's very corrupted. For the time being, there's no other video resource covering the character that is up to date with Rev 2, so I will fill that spot. This is the table of contents for if you want to skip around to certain parts of the video. Oh, and FYI, this is the first voiceover that I'm doing, so please take my mannerisms with a grain of salt. Alright, let's go. This is Slayer, and this is the damage he does on counter hit. Looking a little familiar to another game, I would say. Do you like getting up in people's faces? Do you like the all or nothing playstyle? Do you like to blend your opponent so hard that you can't tell the difference between them and tomato paste? Well, if you answered yes to any of these, congratulations! Slayer's the character for you. Who exactly is Slayer? Well, Slayer is a poverty kid. Slayer is a rushdown maniac that constantly wants to be up in your face to force an RPS situation. If RPS included a fist, a monocle, and a gun for when you inevitably lose. This can be achieved with his unorthodox movement options and ultra close range toolkit that oftentimes leaves him at advantage. Slayer can have an insanely difficult time getting in, but when he gets going, there's no stopping the Dandy Man. This guide aims to cover everything needed to function with Slayer on a basic level, from frame data, basic strategy, advanced techniques, and quick matchup tips against each character in the game. But Scott, you've only played Slayer for a fraction of the time that Hase and Daemendo have played for. How could you ever fully flesh out the details of Slayer and help me go from a blue square to a green square? And you're right about that. I am not the best Slayer out there, but even though I'm not the best, there are a plethora of resources out there to help you get better. Because of this, I'll be sourcing some of my information from Dustloop. Dustloop is an amazing resource for finding data about your favorite ArcSys characters in fighting games and studying the character data that you want to learn. This video would not be possible in the slightest without them. So to recap before moving on to the next section, Slayer is a close-range brawler with a mean amount of mix and a serious amount of damage. This combination creates for a character that has a difficult time getting in, but is seriously punishing if the opponent allows him to. One way he can achieve this is with his great button spread. Slayer's buttons are all very terrifying. They each possess their own functions and all get a fairly decent amount of use in neutral and in combos. With that said though, he's locked to his fists and his feet. And sometimes his cape, but that isn't the point. What his buttons lack in range are made up for in extreme counter hit properties and tons of frame advantage. In my experience of playing, Slayer's counter hit properties are vastly different from the rest of the cast, and play a unique role in his kit. The frame data, damage values, and properties will be pulled from Dustloop, but I will also be providing my own thoughts on Slayer's buttons. Slayer's 5P functions a little differently from other characters' 5Ps, as to where most 5Ps among the cast are used as an Abare option or a way to start pressure. Slayer uses his 5P as an anti-air most of the time or a whiff cancel option to scare the opponent. The reason for this is 1. Slayer's 5P goes over most of the cast when they are crouching, and 2. Slayer's arm does not have a hurt box on it when this move is active, meaning it can contest with a lot of air moves if it's spaced correctly. Overall, a good tech trap button and a way to get Slayer's game started if it catches somebody in the air. 2P is the button that you will mostly be using for mashing out pressure and tick throws of this sort. This button does have a place in corner combos off of 6K and 2K, but those are only usable against some of the casts. Being a quick, long jab that's plus is a very good button to have. Other than that, there isn't much else to say about it. This is the Slayer button, and I mean the Slayer button. The button that everyone dreads and immediately complains about when they get hit by it. This button is amazing. It beats out so many other moves and clashes more than you ever thought it would. It starts from being upper body invuln, then moves to being invuln from the knees up. You can use this as an anti-air, but due to the long invuln time, you can bait your opponent to throw out mids and completely beat them with this. A very good move and a very frustrating one to fight against for sure. 5k is a crucial move to playing Slayer neutral. This is a very strong poke that can often throw people off guard and checks them to make sure they aren't pressing buttons. Doing things such as YRC 5k is enough to scare the opponent and let Slayer get his turn. This move is jump cancelable as well, allowing for continued pressure. Throw this out a lot and you will reap the benefits of it. Your go-to low, and a fairly good one. It boasts a longer than average range and is plus, which means you can start doing Slayer things once this is either blocked or nets a hit. Overall, a very scary button which can make the opponent think twice about their spacing. The drop kick. This is either the combo starter in the corner or the throw baiting machine at mid screen. It's a very nice overhead that can catch the opponent off guard for a light tap of damage. This move is mostly used when the opponent is knocked down or is a surprise after a move like close slash. This button can be held as well so there's no overhead at all, allowing for Slayer to either go for a low or allowing him to throw again, setting up another Oki situation. This button is one that you will get to know very, very well and appreciate it. Close slash is the go-to button for almost anything Slayer does. It has a very tall hitbox that allows Slayer to hit this on crouching opponents, and because of this, close slash is Slayer's main tool for his oppressive left-right game, which I'll get into more later. This is your follow-up from close slash. You'll get to know this move rather well too. It moves Slayer forward a little bit and is almost exclusively used after close slash. With it being a whopping +6 on block, this thing becomes a disgusting pressure tool, and it's possible to link it back into close slash. This is very powerful for applying pressure, doing cross-ups, and netting damage on the ground. 2S is an anti-air that goes unnoticed by many until they get hit by it. This button has pretty good upward reach, but is slightly slower to come out than other standard anti-airs. Because of this, you want to position this move in a spot where you think the opponent will be when Slayer's leg fully extends. This move is jump cancelable and oftentimes leads to really good combos that set up Slayer's game plan. The Big Punch. Once your opponent gets counter hit by this, they will never press a button again. For the range that this button has, it comes with a decent amount of active frames and boasts a rather tall hitbox that can sometimes anti-air. This is a very good pressure button for when you think the opponent isn't going to respect you, and you can smack them for a very fat counter hit. As one man would call it and scream it into my ear whenever I threw it out, the Vampire Low is a long-range button that oftentimes is a way to catch the opponent trying to mash lows. This move controls a lot of space and is almost unpunishable from mid-screen due to the sheer amount of pushback this move has. In the corner, it's a bit more risky to do because there's no more space to be pushed back from, but if this move connects in the corner, it launches the opponent and allows Slayer to combo for a good grip of damage. Slayer's 6H will give your opponents nightmares for the next few days. This move is insane and is powerful enough to convince your opponent to not tech out of the air sometimes, allowing Slayer to start his offense. It moves him forward, allowing him to gain ground. When the opponent gets hit by this in the air, the opponent is not able to tech and are at the mercy of the Slayer. You can confirm this into some of Slayer's specials, which could become a disaster for whoever is receiving it. Good old system mechanics, except Slayer's Dust is very useful to him. It's pretty average with other overheads in terms of reactability, but has the added benefit of Side Dust being able to drag you and your opponent to the corner. This is most of the time a good excuse to blow RC mid-combo to do this. Nothing else too notable other than that it's a good reset and combo extension. A sweep that everyone hates. Slayer's sweep is very unique. It's extremely active, and with this, Slayer can collect frame advantage by spacing it correctly. Along with this, if you hit this on the last few active frames as the opponent is getting up from the ground, you can combo off it. Sometimes you can sneak this in during neutral, but whatever you do, do not be the Slayer who does 2k 2d constantly. It's useful sometimes, but it's a very bad habit to get into and will lead to you eating a full combo. This is your go-to move for dragging people back to the ground. This move makes Slayer curl up into a ball and greatly reduces his hurtbox size, which makes it safer to travel through the air this way. The quote-unquote air-to-air missile, as some used to call it, and that name still rightfully sticks with its use in Xrd. This is a long button for an air normal and is great at continuing combos. Although it has great horizontal reach, the verticality of this move is abysmal and will often get beaten out if you try to instant air dash someone with it. This move is mostly for extending air combos, nothing else to really say about it. This is more useful in some matchups than others due to being able to stall air movement, but other than that, it's the textbook definition of combo filler. This move is okay, but it isn't the best. It's a combo filler and can sometimes be used for cross-up shenanigans. Its main purpose is to air dash at people with it to get on top of them and start pressure, but be warned that you can very easily be anti-aired with this. The hitbox on JH is enormous. You can beat out some anti-airs if you're low enough to the ground with it. Be careful with it though, because when it hits you can get grabbed out of it due to how early it can connect. At that point it's better to cancel into a special rather than trying to get a ground combo off of it. Overall, very solid button and a very scary one. One of Slayer's main tools for getting his game started for when he's in the air. This move slams the opponent into the ground and forces him to eat a 4-way mix-up most of the times. Along with this, JD has very good applications on the ground, and it can be paired with instant air dash to stuff out moves and do stylish combos. It can also be paired with specials in the corner to net a lot of damage. Now that we've talked about all of Slayer's buttons, we can move on to the meat of Slayer's kit and most likely why you picked him up, his special moves. The specials you get with this character are strange. I mean, this character was made to be strange, so that makes sense. I would say that Slayer gets a much wider variety of use out of his specials more than any other character in the cast. Every special that Slayer has functions as a utility in some sort of way. These specials all make up the bulk of Slayer's combo structure and allow him to convert in unique ways that you never would have thought of. I'm going to start with the one air special he has and then work my way through the other ones. This is a utility special that is commonly seen to either guts crush an opponent at the end of a combo, or more importantly, get out of the corner. If you air dash right before you do this, you gain an insane amount of speed and will fly to the other side of the screen. Paired with Y or C, this can be either a way to dive bomb your opponent, or get back into the fight after you get bursted out. This will most of the time be your main way of making the opponent flinch, along with getting in. It goes pretty far and is good for closing in on people, but be careful because the hitbox on this thing is awful. Sometimes you can use this in combos, but I wouldn't rely on it too much. On ground hit, this puts you in a spot where you can try to counter hit the opponent. There is so much about this move on paper, but it's very easy to understand once you apply it in game. Firstly, this is a grab. Having a grab on a character like Slayer makes him 20 times scarier than what he already is. Second, this grab puts the opponent in a stagger state, which is where the fun begins. Because of the stagger, you can go for things such as another grab, a mappa to their face, a 6H to catch the opponent while they're jumping. There are a lot of applications for this. Keep in mind though that any follow-up after this move without RC is a gray beat, meaning nothing is a true combo from this, and that the opponent can mesh out a stagger to block in time, in which you might lose your turn. The next part about this grab, which is the insane part, is that it grants you counter hit state to all of Slayer's specials for a short duration of time. Bloodsucking Universe also heals for a small amount, which can become a large amount if Slayer's low on health. Working this into your game plan is crucial and will make your opponent fear you once this connects. A very, very, very slow unblockable you should never use unless your opponent has flashing risk or you have the meter and they're scared to do anything. This move has no real use other than being a trap to finish off already low health opponents. You could throw this in with an RRC to make it hard to react to, but it isn't worth it most of the times. Oh man, I love this move, you love this move, we all love this move. Dandy Step is the absolute core of playing Slayer. There's no other way to access his 4 specials without it. There are 2 versions of Dandy Step, P and K. P Dandy Step has a very short strike and vuln and moves you backwards and forwards very slightly. K Dandy Step moves you back a lot further, slides you much further forward, and has a little more strike and vuln duration. Be very careful with this move though, as you're able to get counter hit whenever you're stepping. Overall, it's a very fun move to mess with, and there's a ton of applications with it. This is one of the follow-ups to Dandy Step. It creates a huge vertical hitbox above Slayer while moving his hurtbox extremely low to the ground for a short duration. You can use this move to catch people in the air and to beat out moves wherever you think the opponent's gonna be. The P version has less untech time, while the K version has a lot more. This is the move your opponent does not want to block. It creates a really bad situation for the defender, as Slayer has a variety of options from it. Both Dandy Step versions give you the same properties from it. Where it really shines is the follow-up for it. An extremely threatening overhead that has a small throw-in vuln gap between it and under pressure. Hits overhead and can link into close slash when hit overhead and can rack up damage. Where this move really shines is the counter hit potential of it. You can end a round instantly if this counter hits in the corner, and God have mercy on whoever gets hit by this thing. A simple cross up that has a little reward on it. It's disgustingly plus on block, so you can air dash over the opponent or air dash away to stay safe as well. Paired with YRC, this becomes a potent mix-up tool that can lead to a launcher and massive damage. Other than that, it can be used as a reset tool or create a small air dash with YRC. Pile Bunker, the bane of everyone's existence. This thing hits hard. Not just is Dandy Step the core of Slayer, but Pile Bunker is the core of Dandy Step. With meter, Pile Bunker becomes an extremely threatening and dangerous move. This thing can end rounds instantly if you get the correct pick with it. On the P version, it causes huge blowback on the opponent. And with the K version, it causes a wall splat that can be followed up on in the corner. Shoving as many of these as you can into a combo will result in a terrifying experience for your opponent. All of Slayer's specials are awesome and unique in their own way. They either provide a form of movement or can destroy your opponent's life bar. Sticking with his theme of high damage, there are 3 more moves Slayer has that can melt any character. His supers. Slayer's supers are a gamble to use. They're fun to throw out in hopes that they hit, but other than that, you'll mostly be using the meter to convert stray hits into huge damage. With that being said though, some of Slayer's supers can put a lot of hurt on some characters. This is a huge, devastating punch that will still somehow whiff. This is a very strong combo ender and does disgustingly high damage if you pair it with burst. This super has quick startup and the opponent can't take any actions after the super flash. This is mostly a combo ender but can sometimes just randomly be thrown out and YRC'd if you want to surprise attack somebody. This super is confusing to understand because half of it doesn't function properly. It's a dive kick with a huge hitbox on the back of it that is almost never able to be used. You can try to Tiger Knee into that huge hitbox behind it, but I've only ever done that once in my playtime of this game. This move's mostly reserved for when you know the opponent is going to be able to tech out of an air combo, or for when you cross up the opponent on the ground. It's technically a reversal, but is mostly reserved for high damage combo pieces. This can lead to a large amount of your opponent's health bar being vaporized while still being able to tack more damage on. There's nothing else too notable about it though. And that's every move that Slayer has. I know I went through that pretty quickly, but I wanted to get to the main bulk of why you play Slayer. He has a rather unique kit that can be executed in a variety of different ways. This makes the opponent feel like they're fighting a completely different character every round. Even though I have explained all his moves, there's a few extra mechanics Slayer has that gives him an edge over the cast in some areas. I'll provide some strategies and quick bits of matchup information to help you get started on your adventure to punching people into oblivion. But first, let's talk about his special mechanic. Yes, this is a move that every character has access to, and yes, it doesn't seem so special when you look at it. The Slayer's dash is actually a teleport, and it's scary. It has two different lengths when dashing forward, which allows you to teleport through the opponent, and a backdash with a lot of invuln. Not only does Slayer have an amazing dash to begin with, he can jump out of it, which makes him a defensive god in some raids. From now on, we will call this technique BDC, an abbreviation used by most Slayer players. BDC is a powerful tool that makes Slayer the character he is, and also makes him very annoying to fight. Let's start with the most simple application of BDC. BDC jump. Simply backdash and then jump, and invuln will be transferred to the jump. The faster you do this, the more invuln you retain. Make sure you hold FD when you do this to make sure Slayer's hitbox is as small as possible. This is a powerful technique for getting out of the corner, and could be followed up with Footloose to make a good escape. That's a very good application of backdash. But what if I told you we could BDC his special moves and get them invuln? This is where Slayer gets his power from. The fear things such as BDC Mappa and BDC Blood-Sucking Universe. To perform the BDC versions of these specials, do the input for the special, then quickly tap backwards again and hold the backwards diagonal jump direction, depending on which way you are facing. When you do it correctly, the motion will look something like this. A disclaimer for doing this with Mappa. Since Mappa is a quarter circle forward, you will have to manually input the backdash, then quickly input the quarter circle forward, which looks like this. What we are doing here is called Tiger Kneeing, which is a technique that allows us to do air specials very close to the ground. In our case though, we are Tiger Kneeing to get out the backdash animation, and quickly after canceling our jump into a grounded special move before we have a chance to get in the air. Some of these motions are harder than others. Doing a BDC Mappa is much easier than doing a BDC Blood-Sucking Universe, but these all take time to get used to and are very potent tools to every Slayer, and they all need to get them down. Now that we've gone over the one thing that makes Slayer universally hated, and we talked about its deeper mechanics, let's talk about strategy with the character. Slayer is not the most difficult character, but that doesn't mean it's easy to get in with him. You have to be very patient with Slayer and wait for the most opportune moment to strike. For most characters, a misplaced move is a minor setback, but for Slayer, this is a missed opportunity to take an entire round. Your main goal with Slayer is to force a whiff from the opponent so you are either able to get closer to them or set up your game right then and there. Slayer can be very suffocating when he gets right on top of someone, but look out for the plethora of gaps that you can be thrown out of. There's a quote from Clage that I would like to insert here to further reinforce this idea. When I heard this, it opened my eyes to how the character should be played. A link to the video I'm about to show will be in the description.
Has the most potential to consistently do things in tournaments and in casuals. Because if the Slayer player makes good reads and can convince you to push buttons when you shouldn't be pushing buttons, convince you to push buttons when you shouldn't be pushing buttons, convince you to push buttons when you shouldn't be pushing buttons, and
can convince you to push buttons when you shouldn't be pushing buttons. If there's anything to take away from this block of the video, It's that quote right there. This is so astronomically important to playing this character. You have to take massive risks to get things done with him, but you can't do them if the opponent is blocking your heavy hitting mids. The reason why there are so many gaps in Slayer's kit is to force these kinds of situations, and a lot of the convincing comes off the opponent trying to force their turn in a risky manner. If you've ever been grabbed out of a teleport, that's convincing the opponent to press. If you've ever been blitzed after a Helter, that's convincing the opponent to press. Even just the opponent dashing head on into you is convincing the opponent to press something. Slayer is all about annoying the opponent so much to the point where all they want to do is break down your pressure and get their turn back, but that's exactly where you want them. When you get them to this point, you start getting big counter hits, and your goal is to make them pay for those counter hits. Once they take 70% off a single touch, they will either 1. Continue to get counter hit, get stunned, and lose the game, or 2. They'll respect Slayer, and he can begin to run his 4-way blender. The depth to Slayer is not in the combos, although his combos are very free form. It's in the way his neutral is played, but it's about how you make the opponent react to how you do things. This goes for every character, but it specifically is heightened for Slayer. That is a very basic idea on how to play Slayer. This can of course be worked upon, and you can develop your own style of playing the character. Everyone plays differently, so find which way works for you. This is the end of the Slayer part of the guide. If you want to go start smacking people with Pile Bunker, go for it. For those who want to stick around for a little longer, I'll be giving 1 or 2 tips on how to play against each character in the cast. Be aware that these are my personal experiences against these characters. There's much more to learn about them, but these are some core things that I see in the matchup. Don't try to BDC out the ball pressure. It never works. When you're on top of Kum, you can challenge them with lows and raw mids due to them not having full invuln on their DP.
Elfelt Valentine.
This matchup is hard, but that's because Elfelt's Elfelt. BDC jump helps you deal with Pineberry slightly, but other than that, just try to interrupt your guns with Mappa.
Soul Bad Guy.
You want to favor IAD over Dandy Step in this matchup. Gunflame makes Dandy Step near useless here. Forward dashing through Soul can mess up his DP, and you can get a counter hit from it sometimes.
Kai Keys.
Same as Soul, except you can use 6P against his DP much easier than against Soul. You can use his P-step for quick punishes, but using K-step will usually get you counter hit due to Kai's horrifically long active frames.
Ramlaval Valentine.
Don't let Ram play the game at all. If she hits you once, BDC jump won't help you. Sometimes you can forward dash out for pressure in the corner.
Raven.
6P is a godsend in this matchup. This button alone makes Raven have a hard time approaching. Do not get hit by his needle, as it messes up Slayer's dashes and his step specials.
Sing Kiss.
Against Sin, you can Mappa right up to him whenever he's doing a move such as Bull Bash. The slower than average startup on Sin's bigger specials allow you to counter hit him out of them.
Johnny.
Put the whiff in whiff punish against Johnny. If he misses a grab and gets 5H on accident, he's going to sit there and wait to get punched in the face.
May.
You can 6P Dolphin, unlike in another game. The May is going to be using Dolphin a lot, so 6P will completely stuff it.
Leo Whitefang.
If you're going for a Helter Skelter mix, make sure to wire see it. The flash kick makes it really hard for Slayer to do his left-right mix as well, so try to keep it more simple with high-low.
Chip Xana.
The classic fly in the fly swatter. I really don't know what else to say other than randomly throw out P-step cross heal. You'll thank me later.
Melia Rage.
Same idea as Chip, but you can actually throw out 6H since you can track her movement for once.
Biken.
If the Biken gets too friendly with the counters, start bite looping her. 2H is really good here as well for when they try to guard point.
Answer.
Constantly threaten the areas where he has scrolls out with Dandy Step. Usually you can catch them with a cross healer under pressure around these areas.
Zato 1.
Use 2K to quickly kill Eddie. It's relatively safe and puts Zato in a terrible spot. This is unironically one of Slayer's worst matchups. You have to put yourself in the range of the character that wants you to be in that range. Play extremely safe, and if the Potemkin instant blocks anything you do, back out.
Eno.
You can swat Eno out of the air with 5p and 6p. If they don't learn from that, chuck a few raw pile bunkers. You can use 5h to destroy Stroke as well.
Slayer.
Everyone says that the mirror of their character is the worst mirror to exist, but the Slayer mirror is the actual worst thing to ever exist. This matchup is about who can land the first raw pile bunker. Don't bother trying to do the 4-way mix-up on Slayer, because he's just going to teleport out of it. Just try to read wherever the other Slayer is going to teleport, and it'll net you a hit.
Venom.
Dead Angle is your best friend here, as with any Venom matchup. If you get on top of Venom, he's done for. You can get him by doing Footloose Wire C to fly across the screen, and you could do Jumping Age to surprise him.
Axel Low.
Axel's DP is horrible, and you can BDC Bloodsucking Universe through it. Dandy Step in this matchup is a death sentence. It's basically the same as the Venom one.
Dizzy.
Heavy Summoner that likes to air dash and be aggressive. Sometimes you can 5p her out of the air and get your game started. Baiting Mirror is extremely easy with Slayer due to Dandy Step, and you can punish it with K-Pile Bunker.
Faust.
This matchup's just pure neutral. You're gonna have to turn his items against him at some point. Wire C Dandy Step can help you get close and close the gap and get a free hit with 5k or 2h.
Bedman.
Basic walking movement will get you through this matchup. A Dandy Step here and there is nice, but Bedman is on top of you with a Sigil, don't try it. You can also grab his super with Bloodsucking Universe.
Jack O.
I'm gonna be honest, I've only fought this character once in my life. So, with that being said, anyways, Slayer should be able to take care of the minions easily by boxing them out with 5p and 5k, but I can't speak much on this.
Jam Kuradaberi.
2h will absolutely crush her stance, and most of the time puts her close enough where you can combo freely off it. That wraps up everything for this video. Slayer is a unique character that can do an assortment of things that other characters could even dream of. You have to work a bit hard to get stuff done with him, but it's fun whenever you get your game plan going. Again, this is the first time that I've ever done a voiceover for a video, so let me know what you all think of it. Along with that, let me know if you enjoy this style of video. If you want to contact me, I'll link my Twitter, Steam, and Discord all in the description of this video. Thanks for watching again, and go counter hit the entire world now.